So this clicker is going to have a delay, and bear with me on that. Next slide, please. This DART system modernization transform program is ambitious, it's comprehensive, and it's also complex in a number of different ways, and you'll see that. But let me tell you a little bit more about DART for those that may be unfamiliar with who we are and what we serve. There are 13 cities that we serve, and those cities, they cover 700 square miles. And then we provide those services using 4 transit modes. Mode 1 is the buses. We have 570 buses in our fleet that we can draw from to service 14 transit centers. They're maintained and deployed out of 3 bus operating facilities. And then those same buses, they serve nearly 7,000 bus stops throughout the service area. Our second mode is our light rail network, our light rail transit system. We have approximately 160 vehicles in that fleet. They operate and they're maintained out of 2 facilities. I'll talk a little bit more about that in this presentation. It covers 93 miles of our light rail system network. That's over 4 lines. And those 4 lines are positioned with 65 stations across the system. Mode 3 is our commuter rail system. The commuter rail system is serviced with 34 locomotive and cab cars. We partner with Trinity Metro, as you may know, and that line is about 34 miles. That's 10 stations that serves the line there for our customers. 5 stations are on the Tarrant County side, and the other 5 stations are on the Dallas County side. By the way, as all of you may know, the Silver Line is another commuter rail project that we hope to come alive in late 2025 or early 2026. Our target is late 2025, and we're working feverishly to try to get that system ready around that time frame. And the last mode for transportation that we have in our network is the GO Link. The GO Link is billed as our first mile, last mile service. We expanded the GO Link zones just a few years ago. We had 15 zones. We now operate 30 zones, including a paratransit division. Next slide, please. So as the slide is transitioning, I want to also take an opportunity to talk about the civil and infrastructure aspects of the DART system. And as you can tell, it's pretty comprehensive. We have 193 miles of track. That's a double track system based on our asset profile, 75 substations, 72 communication houses, 157 bridges. That's 100 bridges on the DART side, and the balance of those are on the TRE network of our system. We have 3 miles of a twin bore tunnel that we maintain and we service there. 91 culverts, 92 retaining walls, and then 92 passenger facilities, along with 33 operating and administrative facilities and buildings that we have to maintain as part of our asset inventory as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so this DART Transform, what is DART Transform? So DART Transform is our effort and strategy that we've devised to modernize our system. Our system last year, as you may know, turned 40 years old. So we have an aged system. It's time for us to modernize that system over the next 10 years forward. And we feel that we have a compelling story to tell. We have a comprehensive strategy, and we think we have the right team on board to help us get there and begin to prepare the design elements, the construction elements, and modernize our system for our North Texas community going forward. Next slide, please. All right, so the modernization program goals is threefold. At the cornerstone, at the core of the goal is the customer experience. Everything that we do has to embed our customer experience and their impacts or their satisfaction with the progress we're going to be making under this modernization program. State of good repair is something else that is part of an absolute. As you may know, as part of the ASCE mission, the age infrastructure is important for us to find out strategies on what we can do to maintain assets in a state of good repair. This does that. You'll see more in this presentation of how we're planning to accomplish that, and that includes resiliency as well. The modernization component is really for us to look at ways we can enhance the mobility options. And there's a number of ways that we can accomplish that during this modernization effort. We looked ahead and determined that level boarding is going to be something that we're going to have to focus on by raising 23 of our station platforms. That is going to align with the next generation light rail vehicles, which is going to be a true low floor vehicle, true level boarding at all doors. There's some resiliency efforts I'll talk about and what that's going to include in this modernization effort as well. Next slide, please. All right, so the DART Transform core elements is fivefold. There are 5 elements that we initially carved out as we felt that are the big pillars. Pillar 1 is the vehicles. We have a target to replace 95, up to 95 of the oldest light rail vehicles. They are approaching the end of the design life at 30 years. So we're in the process right now of planning that out for the replacement. We are also going to be replacing over 500 buses. That's nearly every bus in our fleet. We speak. And then there are some commuter rail vehicles that we're programming in for replacement as well. Pillar 2, our core element number 2, is the unified signaling system in passenger facilities. What we're planning to do there is to modernize our signaling system. The red and the blue line was our starter system. That system is designed with a line of sight or absolute block territory. It's the legacy system. Our orange and green line, the newer lines, are designed and we operate under an ATP system, automatic train protection system, which is the unified approach that we're planning to take with that element. Element 3, pillar 3 is resiliency. As we all know, climate change is upon us. We've experienced the snowmageddon a few years ago and some severe weather on the winter side. Just last year, we had a really crippling summer that we've learned that we end up having to reduce our system speed to accommodate track conditions. We feel like we have some strategies and what we can do on both sides of the resiliency spectrum, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Pillar 4, core element 4 is the station and passenger facilities. We are going to be raising the platforms for level boarding on 23 of those 65 stations. And while we're there, we're going to be looking at some modernization elements as well and what improvements we can do apply for those stations. Operating facilities. So we have 2 rail maintenance facilities, one in the central area, central rail operating facility. The other facility is on the northern sector of our service area. Those 2 rail maintenance facilities will have to undergo some form of modernization, and that is to incorporate changes we might need to apply when we receive the next generation low floor light rail vehicles. If we can imagine if it's going to be a true level boarding / low floor vehicle, some of the components, most of the components will be repositioned on the roof of the vehicle, which require some look ahead on how we're going to incorporate mezzanines and all the other support elements that that facility has to service those vehicles. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the light rail vehicle replacement. Again, they are approaching a 30-year design life, so we're planning to replace those in a phased approach. The older vehicles, out of the 95, the first group of 40 vehicles were in service in 1996, and then 34 followed a couple of years later, and then 21 thereafter. So we're looking to have those replaced in that phased grouping. We also have conducted a customer survey. We did that last year, and we wanted to find out from the public what they would like to see in the next generation low floor vehicles. And they provided us some feedback, which you can see on this slide photographically. One of the things that really resonated with them, they would like for us to incorporate in the design improved lighting and some passenger information displays that we currently are not, they're currently not equipped on the LRVs that we have today. One of the other interesting design concepts that we've talked to the car builders about that's feasible is having a exterior lighting that identifies the illumination around the door frame, particularly at night, to determine whether or not the door is open and ready for boarding, or it may transition to a red dimensional outline, meaning that the door is closed and locked and the car may be on a move. So from a safety perspective and a visual perspective, we think that's going to really enhance the mobility options as we go forward with those light rail vehicles. We are planning to replace the vehicles at a rate of 2 per month once the contract is in place and we begin to take delivery on those. And we hope that the first vehicle will arrive sometime in 2029. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk buses. The buses is going to be the near-term modernization element that's first up for us. So we have over 500 buses that's in our fleet. The first group of buses is going to be somewhere close to 200 vehicles in that first lot. Once again, we actually engaged the public in another survey separately on what they like to experience on the current vehicles. They provided us some feedback on that. And also, while we were going through that survey, we wanted to ask them what would they like to see on the next generation buses, the next design. And so the things that you see here photographically on the slide are things like passenger information displays. We have some now on the buses, but we wanted to enhance those by having special messages, advertisement, and more information for the customers that they don't have today, and that's capable on our buses. Obviously, vinyl seats, mobile router. The mobile router is going to allow us down the line to potentially incorporate public Wi-Fi. And that's kind of the goal by enhancing this modem by coming up with that new feature. One of the cool things about this bus fleet replacement is this side view mirror camera. That is something that we don't have in our existing fleet. Our bus operators would like to know when there's obstructions and the traffic patterns adjacent to them on the street side, along with the curb side when there's boarding and aligning taking place. And this side view mirror camera would supplement side view mirror itself. And so that's one of the features that we're really excited about. We're going to be increasing the number of cameras on the buses. There's going to be USB ports between the seats. And the operators for themselves, they really want us to look at ways we can optimize the operator barrier shield. And we also will have bike racks as we have today on the next generation bus fleet. Next slide, please. So improve light rail stations. I've already mentioned that strategy about raising the stations by 7.5 inches. Those 23 stations that have not been raised for level boarding, that's part of the strategy. One of the other things that we're looking at while we're there at some of the stations is removing the center crosswalk. Now that's a topic that came up just several months ago about what we can do just to enhance safety. Because at some of the platforms that we know now, there's a center crosswalk and there's a potential risk associated with patrons and passengers crossing 2 tracks, trying to arrive at the platform if they're running late. So the goal is to have those center crosswalks removed and redirect traffic, foot traffic, on the opposite end of the platform where it's safe to travel and cross through our alignment. And all of the vehicles that we're planning to replace will be ADA accessible. Next slide, please. So the improved bus stop amenities, if you haven't seen it already, we have actually piloted 3 locations for this next generation bus stop shelter. We did so we did some work with the UTA students. They had a design contest for DART's next generation bus stop shelter. They did a fantastic job. I got invited to interstate design features, and then we adopted 3 different designs. One design is just a standard bus stop shelter that has the same footprint and design. The second design is a kind of a mini bus stop shelter. For those bus stops, locations that has the footprint that's already there. We have a pilot program at a couple of locations that is going to run through November. It is on the DART website if you'd like to take a look at that, but we're really looking forward to enhancing that. These new bus stop amenities is going to improve the lighting, the visibility, the comfort level, and it's also going to have the real-time information and monitors there, so you can begin to look for trip planning and time points real time for those buses that may be arriving at those bus stop shelters. Next slide, please. The visual experience. So the visual experience is something else that we can't neglect. Throughout our 700-mile service area and our facilities, we need to inform the customer how to find their way and also use our trip planning, the maps that we have out there. We know that there are some things that can be improved along this modernization process. There are some new standards that we have that's really dated. We're going to be looking at updating those sign standards and the messaging. For instance, coming out of DFW Airport, just to find your way to the DART track, it's always a challenge, has been a challenge for us. So those are some of the things that we are planning to improve as we go forward, and also improve on adding efficiencies for language and based on the profile that we have with our writing public right now. Next slide, please. All right, let's talk some resiliency initiatives. As I mentioned earlier, we have climate change that's occurring within the region, and what we need to do is to focus on how we can continue to combat those efforts that may cripple us or suspend service or cancel service, if you will. One of the things that our team has been working on that I'm excited about is in that center photograph, you'll see a counterweight system. The counterweight system is along our light rail alignment, all 93 miles. There are like over 60 of those throughout the alignment. And what that counterweight system does, it maintains the overhead catenary line tension. So when the power is being drawn from that overhead wire, um, this counterweight system has to be maintained so it will allow our system to operate at regular speed. During the summertime, because of that, the wire stretches and becomes sagging over time. This counterweight system the term is bottom out, right? When it bottoms out, there's no more adjustment required or available for maintaining that tension. So what we've explored is to changing this design out to a auto tensioning system. It's like a spring tensioning system that will eliminate this counterweight system, and we're looking forward to incorporating that over time as an example. There are about a dozen of others resiliency efforts that we're going through. We're looking at changing the windshield out on our current vehicles and have heated windshields, heated side view mirrors. We're looking at incorporating ice caps over the overhead catenary wire and putting those out at strategic locations. So there's a number of different initiatives that we're going to be moving forward with. Next slide, please. Unified signaling system, talked about it, talked about that earlier. As you can see photographically on this slide, that we have a line of sight system. Basically, the operator has to recognize kind of like stoplights, if you will, and whether or not they have the permissive way forward, and certain on some of the alignments, particularly the red and the blue line because they're older. The goal is to have a ATP system, which has the onboard intelligence and the technology that we have right now on the orange and green line in the right of way. We know that there may be a need to add some signal houses to where this older line segment, the shorter line segment, may be outdated. By the way, we're looking to incorporate some redundant power sources, particularly for the resiliency system, and to make sure that we can continue to operate our service in the event that there's a power disruption. And the ultimate goal is for us to improve the speed and the reliability and redundancy through our system. Next slide, please. Talked about the two maintenance facilities. You can see here on this slide, we're going to have to modify both facilities in some way, whether it being the in-ground lifts and the contact points to elevate those new trains and to service them if necessary, or to work on the roof-mounted components. The wheel truing machines, when we provide service on the vehicle, may have to be reviewed. The car wash, the cleaning platform that we have, everything that's at both facilities will have to be assessed to determine whether or not we are ready and those facilities are ready to accommodate the next generation vehicles that we're going to be purchasing going forward. Next slide, please. For this next slide, I talked about state of good repair and SGR. We're currently undergoing a 100% baseline of all of our assets. We have approximately over 6,000 assets that's distinguishable within our infrastructure. Along with those assets, we have identified that we need to take a holistic approach and come up with a strategic plan to baseline those assets that may not be at the threshold that we would like for them to be, and also incorporate cost estimates of what it would take to bring it into a state of good repair. And on this next slide, if I may, next slide, please. The next slide really identifies the level of effort we've gone through to date. We're coming to a close on this baseline assessment. There is a number of asset classes that you can see in this photograph, starting with just the vehicles. The vehicles are not just buses and LRVs and commuter rail vehicles, but it also includes our non-revenue vehicles as well that are necessary to support our operations going forward. We have some system updates that we've identified that warrants attention, either near term or long term. There's some rail projects that we've uncovered and identified that has ratings that would fall slightly below our desired threshold. And then there are some facilities as well that's embedded within that. All total, there's about 2,000 projects that the team has identified that we should be planning to invest in over the next 10 years or within our 20-year financial plan. The AECOM team has done a great job in just identifying that strategy and helping us to determine the prioritization methodology that we would like to go forward with. So big effort, all part of the modernization program, all part of 10 years forward and how we're going to enhance the system to make sure that we can do what we can to improve upon our customer experience. Next slide, please. So I've been talking about this whole modernization program, the DART Transform program, and what are we looking at in the anticipated time frame? You have over the next 10 years, and each of the segments that's alternating blue and white represents year over year expectations for our phased approach. So this year, this summer, we've already began our engagement on the signal design. We've started the studies on that. We've already began some resiliency projects that we've identified some strategies we want to move forward with. By the way, we're in the middle of actually finalizing some of the bus design before we award a contract to that vehicle manufacturer to get buses delivered to us. Uh, the um, the next year, we're looking at some station designs, and we're beginning the light rail vehicle design as well in 2025. 26, we're looking to begin the next summer with some construction projects. And the construction projects, we want to begin with the City Place and the Uptown Station on some of the activities there. Hopefully we'll have one of the first article buses delivered to us, and we can start looking at having those introduced before the World Cup arrives. We have some number of a goal of vehicles to arrive around that time frame. And then in the spring of 27, we hope to have a contract in place with the rail car manufacturer and begin receiving the pilot vehicle for our testing. And then we'll continue forward with testing that vehicle, along with authorizing them to proceed with the manufacturing of the first group of vehicles that's going to be delivered to us in 29 and beyond. Next slide, please. A couple more slides, and then I'll conclude my presentation. So this external customer journey, this mapping journey, is something else that we feel is going to be important as we go through this DART transform system modernization process. We have to make sure that the customer is dialed in, and we understand all of the pain points or the journey that's going to enhance their experience while using our system. Next slide, please. This slide represents, if you'd like to get more involved and understand a little bit more detail about this customer journey mapping, our team members have put together this interactive survey that you can find out more about how that customer journey is going to be mapped out between our light rail, bus, and other transit options. So certainly we'd like to get your feedback on that if you have an opportunity to approach us on this interactive map. This concludes my verbal presentation, but what I want to take an opportunity to do is to show you a video. It's about 3 to 4 minute video of how we envision the DART Transform System Modernization program is going to cumulate into our direction and our journey going forward. So if you can transition to the video, I'd like for you guys to take a look at it. And I'll be happy to answer any questions thereafter.
DART is embarking on a generational journey that will transform the customer experience. DART Transform is that journey, a system modernization program that will update our legacy light rail lines and bus networks with new vehicles, facility and station amenities, and bus stop designs.
We've been dedicated to serving North Texas for over 40 years. And during that time, we've continued to expand services to meet the needs of the customers and communities.
You have shared what your ideal experience on DART should be, and we are rolling up our sleeves to deliver a journey that focuses on our ability to provide seamless mobility, quality service, and create fantastic spaces across our service area.
DART is transforming the experience of our bus riders and operators. We are purchasing over 500 new buses that will include features you have asked for, including updated technology, improved safety features, and additional amenities. Bus stops will be transformed with the addition of next-generation bus shelters to replace existing ones. These will provide improved visibility, lighting, and more comfortable seating for our riders. The improvements don't end with our bus network. DART began operating light rail in 1996, and the system has grown to 93 miles, one of the longest light rail systems in North America. We are continuing to improve our system by replacing 95 of our original light rail vehicles with new state-of-the-art vehicles. These vehicles will create a better experience for both riders and operators.
At stations along the red and the blue lines, we are raising 23 station platforms to provide level boarding for the new vehicles.
This means no more stepping up and down to board our trains and providing better access for all, especially with those with limited mobility or traveling with littles and strollers.
DART is also improving station amenities, which includes improved signage and communication features, seating, better lighting, new ticket vending machines, and other enhancements. Some of the first rail station improvements riders will see will be at City Place Uptown Station. Initially, we will replace the escalators that move people between train platforms and street level, and even more improvements will follow.
Of course, there will be construction work at several stations, and we want to limit impacts to riders and operators during this time by making sure that any changes to routes or access are clearly communicated and you're able to go where you need to reliably and comfortably. We will be working with our DART Transform team to maintain this level of service even during construction.
While our customers in the community will see a lot of changes in the coming years, some improvements will be less visible, but very impactful, including the improved resiliency of our network to ensure operations can be maintained during extreme weather events, and unifying our signaling system, which will increase safety, communications, and reliability for riders and operators across the light rail network. To ensure we can continue to service the vehicles we have today and incoming new vehicles for our riders, DART's facilities will also see improvements. We want to guarantee the new vehicles can be serviced and maintained at our sites to provide the level of service our customers deserve.
From DFW Airport to the west,
Plano and Carrollton to the north,
Rowlett to the east and into southern Dallas,
and everywhere in between.
We are excited about the future transformation of DART. This work continues our commitment to provide our riders with a great journey each day.
DART, transforming commutes and communities.
So that's the short video. I want to thank you guys for joining us today at this luncheon and allowing me to inform you about the DART Transform System Modernization Program. It's very exciting for us to kind of actually begin to strategize and develop this thing to get us from point A to point B on our strategic plan that the agency is going forward with. So I'll pause here for questions that you may have. Please answer any questions.
And as a reminder, please raise your hand with any questions and I'll bring around the microphone.
If we want to try out the mapping the customer experience app, how should we do that?
So what I can do is I'll leave behind the presentation with Patrick and the team, and then I'll let you guys reshare it to the committee members. But that map, it's I think there's, if you can go to darttransform.org, that website, we can reply back to you and provide you that link.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering if there was any thought of or a timeline related to the implementation of autonomy in the DART vehicles, either from the rail side, bus services, or any of the different services y'all provide.
Yeah, and you're referring to autonomy in terms of automated vehicles? Yes, that is something that we are studying and partnering with NCTCOG. We're allowing them to take the lead on that aspect of autonomy. We originally were part of the Automated Bus Consortium that extended itself for several years to look at a strategy to design, build, and deploy a pilot program for automated buses. However, given this massive modernization program and everything that you've seen on the priorities that we have with the agency, we're going to take a wait and see effort on that and then follow others' lead, particularly CTCOG. They would like to move forward with smaller vehicles and going forward with some autonomy deployments there.
All right, last question.
Has there been any thought into using like satellite internet, like Starlink, on the buses rather than like having the routers for individual?
Good question. Thank you for that. We have not explored that. That's something certain our technology or IT team can review as we going forward, but no, we haven't considered that. But I certainly would like to explore that more personally. So maybe we can have a conversation after this presentation. Thank you.